What's been the toughest part of your 45 years on this earth? What's been the low point? You've had so many highs. Where have you been challenged by adversity the most?
I had a painful divorce, because of that. Couldn't see my two oldest children on a regular basis. That's very painful. Loss of privacy. Everybody has a right for privacy, even if you're famous. Especially in my home country, they until now they don't leave me alone, and I'm not perfect. And whenever there's another story about, maybe I have a gray hair here, or maybe I have a pound too much on my ribs, it's a headline news, and that's painful. That's very disrespectful. But I can't help it. I could have missed at 17, and I couldn't. I've chosen to live a very public life. I didn't want to hide behind curtains or hide behind dark shielded windows. I'm sane because of that, and I feel like my family is well, and everybody's doing good. But there's a price to be paid, and sometimes the loss of privacy is just that.
How much do you follow German tennis now?
I've followed more than I used to.
Tommy Haas has done an amazing job the past year, coming back at 34 years of age, and he struggled with the expectations of what you said and Steffi said and Michael said. How do you view Tommy Haas's career?
Well, he was the next big German tennis superstar, really, after Michael Stick, Steffi Graf, and myself, and it was this bubbly, young, half German, half American player. I mean, I met him when he was, I think, 12 or 13, and we started practicing together. And he did reach number 2 in the world. I mean, he did reach a couple of Grand Slam semifinals, but his goal was to become number 1. His goal was to win a Grand Slam. He hasn't achieved that. He's been unfortunate, or he's been unlucky with injuries. I mean, this guy, I don't know how many surgeries he's had, 10 and counting. And the fact that he's still around, that he had a comeback this summer, that he had a tournament win in Halle, beating Federer along the way, and he's back in the top 20 in the world. It's one of the biggest comeback stories I've never known in sports. So it's good to see him finishing on a high. It's good to see him finish on his own terms. But he could have had a more successful career given the chance.
Can German tennis ever be back up in that top echelon again?
Well, we hope so. We have a new president, we have a new structure in the federation, we have a few new people that understand that, through the right system, through the right programs, through the hiring the right people, you do have success. It's possible. So, but it's going to take a couple of years. We've lost about 10 years. Even in the public, tennis is not the most popular sport anymore. It's hardly shown on TV. So we have to do a lot of hard work to come back.
Another person that you seem to have a lot of respect for is Serena Williams. Now she just won her 15th singles Grand Slam, Olympic gold medalist numerous times. And you wrote during the U.S. Open final, you occasionally tweet that Serena Williams is out there fighting her demons. And she ended up finding her way to the finish line and saved Azarenka's serve for the championship. When I saw that, I was thinking, were you projecting a little bit? Were you watching her, and when you say fighting her demons, were you projecting how you felt and what you would go through out there trying to find your way in the late stages of an important match?
Well, first of all, a spectacular lady. The fact that 13 years between her first Grand Slam and her latest Grand Slam is just iconic, in any sports. Then I've gotten to know her, classy lady, and I always admired her, her style and how powerful she played tennis. Having been on the court myself, I know exactly what she's going through. I mean, she was the big favorite. I mean, she just blew off Azarenka off the court. Obviously, then a few nerves setting in, maybe remembering her last year's final loss against Samantha Stosur, just holding back a little bit and just playing very tentative. And that's when I tweeted it. I saw that she's fighting the fact that she's about to win her 4th US Open, but she's physical, she just can't get it through. She wasn't moving her legs anymore, And having been at the same situation, I know exactly what she's going through. It happened to me so many times.
Andy Roddick, he's now retired. He had an amazing career. On the shorter end, it seemed that once he stopped believing that he could be the best, similar to you, he obviously accomplished a different level than you did, not nearly as much, but same type of concept. Once he realized that he couldn't compete at the top level, he'd rather move on to something else. How do you view his career and the way he walked away?
A great last tournament. I mean, great decision. The announcement on his 30th birthday. I mean, you couldn't write a better script. And I'm sure there are going to be lots of DVDs about that, and maybe even a movie. Great guy, class act. I wish he would have won more, because he has everything that a tennis ambassador needs. He speaks well, he looks good, he's funny. He plays with a very offensive, exciting style. Unfortunately, he had that backhand that never really got better in his 10 years. But I hope he stays with American tennis. They need his leadership. They need his courage. And American tennis struggles a little bit. You don't seem to have the juniors you used to have. You don't seem to have the superstars you don't have to have. And he's been really the last one. So hopefully he gives back. He teaches the young kids what made him so good.
What does happiness to Boris Becker look like?
If I can spend time with my family, especially my kids. They don't see me enough. I still travel the world. I'm still very busy. Obviously, having a 2-year-old and a 19-year-old, the dialogue is different. The topics are very, very different. But they keep me young. They keep me on my toes. They want to see their dad, satisfied and healthy, and just as young as he was when he was winning Wimbledon at 17. And obviously, they're the apple of my eye.
Is it odd for you that you have a 19-year-old son, but where he's at in his age, you had already been a Wimbledon champion for 2 years?
It was odd to him. When I had my 25th Wimbledon anniversary 2 years ago, and he was 16, and people really made fun of him and said, "Well, next year you got to win Wimbledon, otherwise you can't, break your dad's record." And he was a bit upset about it, because he said, "I love my dad, but I have a different life." So we talked about it, that growing up, being the son of a famous dad is not always easy, but everybody has their own qualities. You just have to find yours. And he ventured out. He's into fashion. He's into music. He graduated from school, and he's living with me now. Actually, he moved back to me. That's a great compliment. And we're as close as ever. But I had to give him time and space to find out what he wanted to do with his life when he was 16 and 17, and still does. Would
you wish upon your kids, or wish upon any kids, the life that you've lived?
It was pretty serious on when I was still a teenager, and most teenagers have more freedom, have maybe more fun than I had. But I love tennis so much. What are you gonna do?
What do you? You've said that a bunch of times. What do you love so much about the sport?
The freedom it gave me. I felt that early on, that I, through playing well at tennis, I could do what I wanted with my life. Starting with the success. Obviously, I made some money early on. Nobody could tell me what to do. I was free as a bird. Of course, I had a father, and of course, I had a mother. But from the age of 17, if I decided to go to New York tomorrow, I went to New York. If I decided to stay in bed, nobody could drag me out of bed. I mean, that freedom was precious to me, and that's why I loved it so much.
What about artistically, how it enabled you to express yourself? Because you seemed like your personality was really on display when you played, from when you were aggressive to when you wanted to be more passive. I mean, it was going to be done your way, regardless of your opponent, your coach, what the fans wanted. I mean, it seemed like it always started and stopped with you.
I wish I would have listened to some of my coaches more, and my life would have been easier. Probably would have won more. But it was my, it was my court. I played. Nobody made me play. Again, maybe winning at 17, you become different. I wanted to find out on my own what's good for me, and I've talked to the likes of Jon Tiriac and Bob Brett and Nick Bollettieri and Mike De Palma and a few others at length about why I wanted to do the things I did, and you know, it was the right way for me. You know, you know. Again, you know, it's my life, and I understand my children very well. You know, I didn't want somebody telling me, "You got to do this, you got to do that," because I felt like I was on the right track. You know, finding out who the real Boris Becker is.
Jan Tiriak's an interesting guy. He had a big influence on your life and your career. He's an interesting, tough guy to share space with. What are your impressions on him?
Yeah, one of my most important and closest mentors. I mean, I learned everything I know about tennis from him. I mean, he was a tactician. He was a you know, a tough coach. You know, he was all about discipline and repetition and just in doing whatever it's necessary to win. And you know, the 10 years with him were precious and you know, great.
Some of your former colleagues and peers and competitors are now coaching. Ivan Lendl's coaching Murray. McEnroe has his own academy. Connor's coached Roddick. Does that interest you?
To a point. I had a German junior team for 5 years. You know, the likes of Nikola Kiefer and others came out of it. Florian Mayer came out of it, and you know, just to mention a few. It's a bit like having your own children, and you have to babysit, and you have to be with them all the time. And you know, I already have a large family, and I don't spend enough time with my own family. So I made a decision of coaching, yes, on a part-time basis. If you know, sometimes even Federer comes to me and says, "Listen, what do you think about my forehand?" And others as well. And I'm the first one to tell them my opinion if they want to hear it. But coaching on a weekly basis, like some of the other guys, I couldn't do that.
How do you enjoy the TV? You do a lot of TV. People love seeing you around the sport. You work for Sky, you work for BBC. You have a huge platform in the sport. Do you enjoy being involved in the sport that way?
I love being involved on the TV side now. I feel like I can bring something to the table some of the others can't. I love the Grand Slams because I think those are the most important tournaments and they define you as a player. I couldn't be involved every week, again for the same reasons, but I love being involved at Wimbledon, at the Open, and at the Barclays ATP finals because those tournaments meant the most to me, and I feel like I can bring a bit of soul and a bit of insight to the TV audience.
You do a lot for so many people. You're a tremendous philanthropist. You do a lot for charity. How important is it for someone who's been as successful as you have, you've benefited so much from the sport, to give back?
I think, you know, when you've been blessed and I've been fortunate so much as I have, you know, starting where the place I was born, that I had a great set of parents, that I was able to, you know, just live out my dream as a young boy. It's very, very important to me to give back, and I have a sports charity called Laureus, where I'm the chairman of the German foundation, and I'm a trustee of the international charity, and you know, we give back through sports. We use sport as a tool for social change. We're around 12 years now, and we have raised over $50 million. We're reaching 2 million kids, meaning we're funding their sports projects, because I believe sport is so important for young kids to learn important lessons in life in a very playful way, and that's very, very dear to my heart.
If you could change one thing about the sport, what would it be?
I'd like to have a stronger leadership amongst the officials. I'd like to have a different season where players you know, play less, but focus on the main events. I want to involve Davis Cup in a different way. And I just, you know, looking at other sports, every sport has an off-season. Tennis doesn't seem to have one. There's too many agendas in tennis involved. You know, you have obviously the International Tennis Federation, and then you have the ATP, and they don't always work together. But it's an ongoing dialogue. I mean, we're all involved for a long, long time. You know, we're lucky right now to have the Federer and the Nadal. If I look 5 years down the road, I don't see those players anymore. And I'm afraid of tennis a little bit, of where it's going. And I hope that we can, while we have those two great champions, and they're still at the top of their game, that we can change tennis for the better.
You've made a nice segue after tennis, but it's not easy. A lot of professional athletes have really struggled because it's a different world when you have, like you said, the ability to control everything. The rest of the world's not like that,
No.
and a lot of athletes struggle. What have you seen, and what are some of the challenges, especially for an iconic person like yourself, to adjust to life after you're in the arena?
Well, that's very important for any athlete, that there comes a time when, because of age or injury, we have to stop. And then we're usually 30 years old only, you're still a young man then. I mean, it took me a couple of years to adjust and to find a new goal and to find a second career. But most athletes don't have the time. They have to quickly, make their next buck and quickly do something else to support the family. And it's a tough lesson for some of the athletes. What you're going to do after. And I always feel like there has to be a course during your career that you have to take in about learning about other professions, about other things, about the day when you have to stop playing tennis. And I feel like the tennis community doesn't do enough to teach a 20-year-old or 25-year-old for the life after.
It could be called The Day the Music Ends.
For example.
Should be the name of the course, and it should be chaired by Boris. Boris, you're also a big sports guy. You love tennis, but you respect so many other sports. What are some of the athletes around the world that you regard and respect a lot?
Yeah, I'm a sport fanatic. Starting obviously from football, being from Germany, but I love basketball. I love the Olympics. Having seen it in London now, so many different sports I usually don't watch. I love about sports the honesty. The fact that there's a clear cut. It's
real.
It's
the
real.
only thing in this world that's a true meritocracy.
Yeah. There isn't an opinion. There isn't a taste of it. Somebody's losing and somebody's winning. It's brutal, but I love it, and that's why I'm such a big sports fan.
Who's your favorite basketball player?
Of all time, obviously Michael Jordan. I've met him personally. He's just a great guy.
Yeah, what was it like spending time with him? I mean, what is it like when iconic people like yourself, Jordan, Tiger Woods, others, Ronaldo, other greats of their sport get together? That's a lot of. You share space. That's a high tax bracket.
Yeah. There's a lot of ego in the room, and everybody has to adjust. Well, Michael was easy because he loved tennis. He admired what I've done. So after the ice broke, we've had many golf tournaments together and many good times together. Because he's also, I consider him very worldly, very international. He understands a lot more than just basketball. Well, some of the other superstars of sports are still in the middle of it, so their focus is a bit narrowed. Just think about their next golf tournament or their next football game. But I've had great times with Tiger Woods, for example. I mean, he's another star I admire. Longevity through many ups and downs. On the comeback trail now. Spent a lot of time with him actually on the golf course as well. He's a bit better than me. No, it's interesting, and it's again, I'm privileged through my sports to be able to meet so many other sporting icons I wouldn't have done otherwise.
But your generation was a very competitive time amongst Edberg and Agassi and Sampras and McEnroe, and you spanned so many generations of players. Which player did you like the most personally, and which person did you respect the most professionally, the way they went about their business?
I had a hard time liking my competitors because they wanted to take something away from me that I wanted as well. So liking is a difficult word. I liked Stefan Edberg. I mean, he was just a nice guy. I liked Mats Wilander. I liked Pete Sampras.
Which one did you fear the most?
I have, tennis player-wise, the toughest I've played was Pete Sampras. So I would say I have the most respect for him.
Well, if it was tough for you to like them, then this should be an easy one. Which one did you dislike the most?
The list is very long. And I had tough battles with McEnroe and with Connors and with Lendl. You know, there was a great deal of respect, but we really didn't like each other that much. And I think that's the reason we had this rivalry and those long and tough matches, because we just couldn't give in.
You mentioned the importance of the Olympics. One thing that doesn't get recognized a lot is you're an Olympic gold medalist. You won the doubles at the Olympics. Is that something you feel like you deserve a little bit more credit for? And how big of a sense of pride was that gold medal?
Yeah, true. You know, people talk a lot about my Wimbledon championships and the fact that I was #1, but I've won everything but the French Open. You know, I was a proud Olympian. It was very important to me to participate. You know, for me, it was more important to participate and actually win the medal. But then I teamed up with Michael Stich, and we didn't like each other as well. But we realized that together we're stronger, and we won the gold. And it becomes more important the older you get. You know, more you get a bigger insight of sports and which tournaments you remembered for and what was really important. So my Olympic gold medal becomes more important the older I get.
What impresses you about Novak Djokovic?
Many things. I mean, this guy defies gravity. I mean, I don't know how he can slide on the hard courts without breaking his ankle.
Is he the best athlete that the sport has seen in a long time?
Well, there are a number of great athletes right now. It seems like everybody has to be a bit more physical than they used to be. Those stunts they have on the court and the long rallies, and you know, we used to play a different type of tennis. But I wouldn't say Federer is a bad athlete. I wouldn't say Nadal is a bad athlete. But Djokovic stands out because he, you know, the way he plays is a bit more physical than some of the others.
Are you happy with the way the game has evolved, or do you miss the way it used to be played?
I'd like to see a bit more variety. I'd like to see more guys coming in. I'd like to see the importance of the serve back. I'd like to see, you know, the top guys volley better. Just the overall package as a tennis player, I'd like to see improved.
How do you think Lendl is doing with Andy Murray? Is he communicating his message?
I think you can see a trademark in Murray's game since Lendl is there. You know, he has a different attitude on the court. He's more composed. He's more focused. You know, therefore he plays better. He wins now when he plays bad. That wasn't the case before.
What is your single greatest moment on the court?
I've been blessed with many. I didn't want to say one and disrespect all the others. I mean, probably my biggest achievement was defending my first Wimbledon title at 18. I was still the youngest then, because obviously in those 12 months, you know, everything changed for me, and you know, a lot of people called the first one well lucky. You know, my famous 15 minutes, and I was able to prove mostly to myself, but also to the world at 18 that I'm pretty good.
What about conversely? What was the darkest moment, the most disappointing moment on the court?
Probably that I didn't win a Glico title.
Now, would that have been epitomized by match point against Thomas Muster, 6-4 in the tiebreak,
yeah.
But vintage Becker, second serve, you know the lefty's going to defend his backhand, you went for it and went for the ace up the tee, even though you missed it. Is that symbolic of you, the good and the bad?
It comes with the territory. I've won lots of matches because of that. That one I lost because of that, and I felt like I had to do it. My instincts told me to go for it, you know, to hit up the tee. It would have been an ace, it would have been a winner, but it wasn't meant to be.
Well, that is absolutely epitomizes Boris Becker, going for what he wants, taking what he wants, and being unremorseful and unapologetic for it. Boris, we really appreciate you spending time with us today on Holding Court with Justin Gimelstob on the world of tennis. Always a pleasure to spend time with someone I look up to and really has been so great for the sport. Thank you very much.
Thank you.